called Onerat Games. I started this straight out of university, which was a little bit of jumping in the deep end. I had a lot to learn straight away. We registered as a company. We were basically only able to do this because I got funding from a company called Film Victoria for a game called Elden Path of Forgotten, which is a game I'm still currently making. I started at university, and the build I had at the end of university is what I used as a prototype demo to get the funding. The funding allowed me to work on the game full time for a year. I had 2 other people working on it with me originally. One of their names was Peter, and the other one is Lewis. So Peter was doing a lot of the art on the game, and he was only really working on the project for 2 or 3 months after leaving university. He was working with me at university as well, but once going full time out of university, he basically just, art is his way of expressing himself, and if he's doing it for work, then he doesn't want to go home and do more art. So he lost his path of expression, so it wasn't a great fit for him to be doing art full time. At least that was my understanding of the situation. Maybe he would say something different, but that's what I know. So it was sad to lose him. He was a pretty good artist, but yeah, he would rather not work on the project. So yeah, then there was also Lewis. Lewis was a programmer and audio designer on the project. He was doing a lot of stuff with the AI and the shaders and the save system back then before we rewrote that. So he was with us for basically almost a year, a little bit under, but in the end didn't have enough money for him or me, and he needed to pay for his life, as everyone does. So he no longer works on the project, but there's still me here working on it, and I basically just do contract work to pay for it. So do a little bit of work in VR. Well, most of it comes from VR, and besides that, it's just funding. So at the moment, my game is basically finished. That's the PC version. We're working on the ports and stuff, but we're trying to secure some more funding at the moment. If we can get that, that would obviously help. When I say we, because obviously it's just me working on the game now, well, how long ago? Not that long ago, it's like 6-7 months ago, maybe 8 months. I signed with a company called Another Indie for worldwide publishing of Elden. So they're dealing with all the marketing and all of that kind of stuff, and assisting me with some other things. So that's the other way I'm able to work on the game. So yeah, it's a little bit of playing it by the ear. Like I said, jumped a little bit in the deep end, coming straight out of Unity. I'm so used to saying Unity. Straight out of university and starting this project. But I think it's been good. It'll be nice to have the game done and to get on to the next thing. But there's more of a story to tell first, so yeah, I said the game started at university. Originally it was just me and a guy called Chavez working on the game. I was doing all the development and a bit of the design, and he was doing a lot of design stuff. The game that we were originally designing back then is not at all what Elden is today. I don't know, it's an interesting situation. So I'm not really sure why the game is so different to what we initially designed. The initial design was good, it was a lot more simple, the game would be done by now, which would be nice. But there just wasn't really a lot of push to go in that direction. We had a design, but I was doing a lot of development, and it's not really something I was interested in making completely. So over time it just kind of warped more into what I'm making. I think a lot of that just comes down to the fact that Shabazz was not in class a lot of the time. Either was I. So a lot of the time when he was there, I wouldn't be there, and if I was there, he wouldn't be there. So, I know, that just led to a lot of disconnect, but yeah, so there was that initial version of the game when it was just him and me, but very quickly we had to bring 2 more people on the team just because they had no one else to work with. That's when Peter came onto the team, and oh, I feel really bad, I can't remember his name. But yeah, Peter and this other guy came onto the team. The other guy actually didn't do anything for the game that we used in the end. I think he wrote one little text system, but the game has no text in it, so that was not really needed. But yeah, that's how Peter came into the project. And basically, as soon as we left university, well, basically even beforehand, Shabazz had basically said that he didn't really want to be on the project. He wasn't really doing anything for the project, so we just continued with me and Peter. Well, actually no, so it was at university we met Lewis as well. So like I said, it was my final project at university, and we basically had to work with other disciplines within the school. The school does like audio and film and animation and games, obviously. So we had to work with audio students, and Lewis was an audio student. He was doing a Bachelor of Audio. Well, I'm not sure what the actual name of it was, but yeah, well, was he doing a Master's? No, I think he was doing a Bachelor's. But either way, met him, and he came onto the project as the audio person. Very soon realised that he had very strong programming skills, so we just got him doing programming as well, and that's basically how he came onto the project. But yeah, that's basically university story. So yeah, then after finishing at university, we had a somewhat like good build of Elden, and we went for funding. So, like I said, there's a company called Film Victoria in Victoria, Australia, and they basically offer, well, as the name suggests, they used to just do film, so it was like a screen. What I like to call them now is a screen funding company, so it's anything that's digital and comes on a screen, they'll fund it. I think they do some festival stuff as well, so I'm not really like, they do a bit. But basically, we applied to get some funding for them. At the time, we had to put up $500 for the funding, like to apply. And I remember it was like a lot of money. That's like a month's rent. And yeah, it was interesting. So we got the money and we applied for the funding. We had the prototype, like I said, and we put that in. We were so nervous doing all the paperwork, but we actually got the funding. Well, maybe I shouldn't jump that far forward straight away. So we got accepted for the first stage, and then we had to do the board meeting, and that's basically a formal interview with you sitting on one side of a massive table, and then some industry figures from the local area sitting on the other side of the table, and they ask you questions about your budget, your market plan, and just your game in general. I did that interview alone. I remember I was incredibly stressed for it, but it went pretty well. I remember I answered a few questions in ways where I was like, oh no, I did that completely wrong, and as soon as I got out the interview, I like sent a message to one of the people from Film Victoria being like, oh, I answered this thing like completely wrong, this is what I actually meant, but it was okay, and we ended up getting the funding. So we secured, what was it? It was a little bit over $50,000 Australian, and it basically allowed us to work full time for a year, like I said earlier. So that was a massive deal, and yeah. Right before that, we'd done. Right before we got the funding, we had done PAX Australia. This was in 2017, and the game was incredibly rough at this point. It was definitely not ready to show, but we did it anyway, and I think that's one of the reasons we got the funding, because we showed ourselves so eager. We had the inventory of people walking around the show floor. Actually, no, because they said at that time that they knew if we did or didn't have the funding. They just wanted to tell us yet. So that was interesting. We had to wait a few more weeks before we could find out, knowing that they knew. But yeah, yeah, it was just way too early to show the game at PAX, but people really enjoyed it still. So yeah, we got an interview with PC Gamer, so it was worth it, but definitely never show any game that early again, because it breaks in so many ways, so many times. The year with the funding was amazing, but aeroplane. There's always an aeroplane. So yeah, the year with the funding was amazing. We got a lot done in that year. It was really nice having people working with me on the project, but obviously it wasn't going to last forever. So after that, as I mentioned, I started doing contracting, and development on the game really slowed down. So I was doing a lot of work with basically corporate VR, little things for conventions for big corporate companies. A lot of the software I wrote was like throwaway, so it would be used once at a big convention and then they'll never use it again. The money was quite good, so I was able to pay for my living for a year, so that was nice. But it did really slow down my overall progress on the game. There was one cool project I worked on, which was motion capture, so it's full body motion capture and face capture, and real-time capture in the engine. So you'd be doing all the movement, and it was actually in Unreal, which is one of the very few projects I've done in Unreal. It would be real-time capturing the animation and playing it back in the scene amongst the actual 3D set. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that project didn't last too long, but again, it helped pay the rent, so that was nice. Yeah, so that was a pretty slow period of development for the game. So yeah, after, well, actually kind of during all of the funding, no, so then yeah, after all of the contract work, well no, actually it was kind of during all the contract work, I saw this, one of the people I follow on Twitter, who I met back at PAX 2017, so like I said, it was really early time to show the game, but I did get a few good connections from it, so I suppose overall it's been worth it. But anyway, he tweeted about this game that he's publishing, because he runs a publishing company called Sinner, and it was going to be one of the first on Discord, on the Discord store. So Discord is like an app, the app I have open here, like communication kind of community thing. I'm sure you know it, but they basically tweeted saying they're going to be one of the first games on the Discord store, and I was like, that's interesting, and I sent him a message basically asking, how did you get this offer? Like, did they offer it to you? Did you offer it to them? We got talking, and I basically just in the end was telling him I'm having a hard time getting everything together, doing all the marketing plus making the game is a lot for one person, and he said we should talk. He was in Australia, I don't know, maybe a month or two later, and we had a little meeting, and we decided that we might publish Elden with them. Well, I might publish Elden with them. So they are called Another Indie, and a few weeks later, after the rest of the team had played the game, I always just say we, but I signed with them as the publisher. And since then, I've been working with them to finish off the game, do all the porting, the marketing, and basically just get a product that people will actually see done and in front of people's eyes. So, yeah, they're helping a lot. It's a lot of stress, like just off my back. This project's been very long, and for one person, it's a lot of work, so it's nice to have a big team behind me now. They have a programmer who I've been working with. He actually rewrote our save system completely because basically it didn't work beforehand. It was slowing down the game and it wouldn't work for the platform to import it to, so we rewrote it in a way where now it's going to work for all these new platforms and it doesn't really affect the game performance, so that's a lot nicer. But yeah, they're going to be doing QA and marketing, all that kind of stuff, so it's nice to be working with them. The game's almost done now. Basically I'll have the game finished this week. Well, not this week, this month I mean. We're like halfway through the month. And then I have to do all the console ports. So once all those are done, I'll be free to start doing some bug fixing. But no, I have another game planned. I've already worked on it a little bit. It's called, well, at the moment it's just called Vaporwave Platformer Prototype. You can play the current prototype on itch. But yeah, it's not really much of what the game's going to be. It's just basically a little movement demo at the moment. But that game is what I've been describing so far as a Vaporwave MC Escher fever dream. The two dimensions, well not two, multiple dimensions colliding in a weird MC Escher, non-traditional platformer. I don't know. Probably won't even be a platformer. It's pretty loose at the moment, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, so who knows what's to come next, but probably that game, so we'll see. What's this? Oh, it's Grumpy apparently. But this is Allie, so this is my parrot. She's a very good bird. He's very grumpy right now. Why are you so grumpy? My ear tastes good?